So there's a number of different things that can be handled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Very nice.
What are some of the obvious areas on how multi-camera can really help with a customer at the end result?
A lot has developed with multi-camera recently, even to the point that there's new buzzwords such as inside out and outside in, which is to describe, for example, if we're thinking of Logitech Sight, which is kind of that cylindrical center camera, that would describe kind of like an inside out, multi-camera functionality. And then outside in would be things that use technology like Zoom's Intelligent Director to take multiple camera feeds and use AI in order to frame it. Or if you're coming from like a Microsoft Teams point of view, you might work in conjunction with QSC's Vision Suite, which used to be Seer Vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of ideas that have kind of been conjured up here in the somewhat recent past.
One Beyond.
One Beyond before that was kind of, Crestron's approach, which is now called, intelligent something or other. But yeah, so I think it's relevant for sure. It has to do with the meeting equity, and it's something that organizations, particularly those that have fleets of rooms, need to kind of work through, and we help them wrestle through it, because you might, for example, use an inside-out type perspective. Again, putting this camera system in the middle of the table for smaller room types, because then it could frame the four to maybe 6 people, in a relevant kind of way. But then what do you do with these larger executive boardrooms? What do you do with these auditoriums, multi-purpose rooms? So what's been neat is for us to be able to help our customers understand the different meeting room technologies and what would be the appropriate technologies for each of those.
Yeah, we're still in the infancy of video conferencing. If you think about it, it's only been a few years that it's come out, and the typical shot in the past was always that wide shot. The unfortunate thing is, part of making a system intuitive, inviting, reliable, which is our factor of trying to make sure that we do it right for customers, is that it is as automated as possible. One of the cool features that came out was, I think Zoom introduced the auto tracking feature, where auto framing feature, where it would auto frame the room based on how many people are in. But you can't rely on the customer to sit in the right locations. And so if a customer comes into a room that's 30 feet long and somebody sits at the front of the room and somebody sits at the back of the room, well, now the camera is still going to be a wide shot. It's not going to frame appropriately in the room. And I also think that we're getting into a place where the more intimate of an experience that we can create with video conferencing is where the future is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're just a skip ahead of being able to do something where it feels like you are literally standing in front of somebody, where you actually have some sort of a holographic video conferencing solution. And a couple years ago, there was a solution, I think, if I remember correctly, Polycom came out with it at one point, where there was a telepresence solution that had a camera sitting across the table, and it truly felt like you were sitting in front of it. It was a 3D sort of an effect.
Sure.
And we're getting closer and closer to that. And so I think multi-camera is the next step of that. I think it's going to be the hot thing in 2025, where everyone's going to do multi-camera. All the companies that are making what we call cookie cutter solutions are going to have multi-camera solutions.
Mm-hmm.
As Kevin mentioned, could be inside out or outside in, but it's going to be a combination of shots to get you even closer to that intimate experience where it feels like you're across the table from somebody you're interacting with.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can kind of picture that Zoom call or that Teams call that we've all been on, where you see a room full of people and you can kind of barely make out the faces that are around the table.
Yep.
They're just a little too small. And that's where multi-camera can come in, where you can get that tight shot on the person speaking and some of the other participants to see their reactions to statements that are made or conversations or what have you, without just having one big wide shot.